Atlanta Motor Speedway, located 20 miles south of downtown Atlanta in Hampton, Georgia, has come a very long way from the first race, held in 1960 and won by NASCAR legend Fireball Roberts, who also took the pole at 133 miles per hour. Spectators from that day who watched from one small grandstand or on blankets spread out on an adjacent dirt bank wouldn't begin to recognize the facility today, even down to its name. Dubbed Atlanta International Raceway when it opened, the track struggled financially through the 60s and 70s before finding a degree of stability in the 1980s. Real change came following Bruton Smith's purchase of the facility in 1990, with the transformation of Atlanta International Speedway occurring in 1997, with extensive reconfiguration that switched front and back straightaways and added a double dogleg in the new front straightaway. In the 7 intervening years, new grandstands sprouted almost every year, and a 9-story tower, Terra Place, that houses the track offices and a number of luxury condominiums. Atlanta has been a staple on the NASCAR calendar for decades, and tonight, it's the championship race of the Vigilante Racing League, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, now known as EchoPark Speedway, with new sponsorship. Let's take a look at the race details for our season finale. 133 laps the distance, 65% fuel on board, 4 sets of tires available over the wall. No fast repairs, count them, 0, zip, zilch. 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Weather today, 74-degree ambient temperature, 63% humidity, currently under a cloudy sky, 11-mile-per-hour breeze, track temperature 95 degrees Fahrenheit. A little cooler than what we had last night in the Numb Thumbs Racing League. We'll see if tonight yields a little different race. Practice underway here. Just about a minute left in this session. Fast time so far. It's the 51 of Dylan Bryant. Second quick, Stoney Benfield and Ricky Wittenberg. Craig Goodenough, Andrew Player, the top 5. Practice session about to see the black and red flags to indicate its end. We'll get right into qualifying immediately after a 5-minute session, 2 laps, whatever comes first. And there it is, session in the books. Move right into qualifying, as we said. We'll see who takes to the speedway first. See, Jonathan Osborne will be first to roll, or at least first to hit pit lane. We'll see if he pulls away or if he just sits there for a little bit. And lights him up just a bit, heads on out. Osborne up through the gears. Jonathan Osborne on the clock here in Atlanta. First lap for Osborne, 32.163, puts him on the provisional pole. Stoney Benfield's second quick. Doesn't last long, though, as Dobson goes P1 with a 1:57. We'll stick with Osborne here, see if he can pick up time on lap number 2. Osborne back to the dogleg here. He'll cross start finish. Where does he lock in? Goes from P6 to P2, 31.682. Stoney Benfield, the fast time of record for now. Dustin Eaton now on the racetrack on his second lap. 8th quick for now at 8:97 his lap. Let's see what he's got here for lap 2. Eaton goes to 6 with a 6:73. Tim Pope goes P2, 31.604 as Albert Anderson takes top time, 31.598. Anderson was the winner last night in the Num Thumbs Racing League here. Kelly Cool 15th on lap 1, 32.226 for the 01 Budweiser machine. Kelly Cool back to the dog leg here. See what kind of time he locks in. He goes 4th quick, a big jump, 31.617. Now Mike Adamson in the number 88. Seventh quick for Mike Adamson, 31.657. A big pickup for him on his second lap as well. Handful of drivers haven't taken the time. 10 drivers to be exact. Greg Klein, Larry Dickerson, Andrew Player, Derek Welch, Craig Goodenough, Jason Gaines, George Rincon, Kyle Vaught, Trevor Robertson, Jeremiah Burke. With that, though, we'll take an opportunity here. We'll step aside, get a quick break out of the way. We'll be back with our starting grid after this. Stay with us.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at EchoPark Speedway, let's take a look at it. Our starting grid for the season finale on the pole position with a lap time of 31.598 seconds. Last night's winner, the number 99 of Albert Anderson. Outside front row, championship contender, missed it by 6/1000ths of a second. That'll be Tim Pope. Row number 2, it's the 51 of Dylan Bryant and Kelly Cool. Row 3 belongs to Stoney Benfield and Alan Vaught. Row number 4, Mike Adamson and John McAdam. Row 5, Greg Dobson and Ricky Wittenberg. Starting 11th is the 14 of Dustin Eaton, and the 84 in 12th, it's Josh Bittner. 13th starter is John Osborne. Mike Everidge will roll 14th. 15th starter Anthony Williams in the 5. Jack Dixon, the number 48 machine from All-Star Racing, he'll roll 16th. Dion Jones in the 4, 17th starter, Craig Goodenough, 18th. 19th starter, it's Jason Gaines. 20th belongs to Jeremiah Burke. 21st is Andrew Player. Larry Dickerson will be 22nd. 23rd goes to Trevor Robertson. DW, Derek Welch will start 24th. Kyle Vaught, 25th. George Rincon, 26th. And last but not least, shotgun on the field in 27th, the number 92 of Greg Klein. It's your starting grid here from EchoPark Speedway. Let's take a look once again here at our race information. 133 laps the distance, 65% fuel on board, 4 sets of tires over the wall, 0 fast repairs, count them, 0 zip zillage, 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Weather 76 degrees, 59% humidity, partly cloudy skies now, sun starting to peek out slightly from qualifying. 10-mile-per-hour breeze, track temp, right now it's at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, we got Chris Goins up here in the booth. Chris, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Steve. How's it going, buddy?
Just getting ready to set this thing off. The season finale of the Vigilante Racing League. Get a crown a champion here tonight.
I can't wait. This is going to be an interesting finale here with the drafting track. It could be anybody's race at this point.
Well, with that said, I'm going to get my pick out of the way right now. I'm going with the number 7 Haviland Chevrolet of Timothy Pope for the win.
Are we picking the champion or the win of the race?
Well, I think it'll end up being one of the same, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Well, if it's the win of the race, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and go with that 01 of Kelly Kuehl. He's due for some good luck here. Championship wise, I'm gonna sneak in there with Dustin Eaton finishing up there at the top.
Dustin Eaton, good pick as the green flag waves. We're underway from Atlanta. Last night's winner, Albert Anderson, leads the field down into turns 1 and 2 ahead of the 51 of Dylan Bryant. Tim Pope working to the outside of Bryant out of turn number 2 as the field comes up to speed. At the line, Anderson's going to lead lap number 1, but it wasn't by much. But it doesn't matter by how much as long as you're there first. Never more important until the last lap of the race, not the first. So, Chris, we didn't really get a chance to talk prior to the race tonight, but we do know you ran this race last night, had your share of issues as well. But what is the biggest, I guess you could say, challenge of this racetrack, especially in these trucks? Is it trying to hang on to the tires, the draft, just keeping the thing out of the wall? What's the issue?
Yeah, it's funny with these trucks now. There's a lot more drivability with this track. You know, tracks like Daytona, Talladega, you can run an entire race without having to worry about tires or anything like that. But this is, you know, being a mile shorter and a much more tighter radius corners, you tend to see some tire wear. So you can be really loose, especially right here where they are on the track now through this tri-oval or quad oval, whatever, and into one, it can get snappy loose on you. So you got to be careful. I was off throttle getting into the corners a lot last night. Another thing that you notice in these trucks is the ability to suck up in on that truck in front of you. You can do it very, very quickly. So as the race goes on, you'll see a lot of cars switching lanes, trying to block runs and things like that. And if you jump up there, running 4 or 5 miles an hour slower than the car up top, you get a bad push or something like that, it can cause a real problem.
Anderson continues to lead. We saw a bit of this last night. He was difficult to pass once he got out in front. Clean Air, as Chris, you mentioned, as far as the handling is concerned, got to be an advantage to be out in front. Maybe not necessarily on the fuel economy side of things, but handling certainly. Clean Air is king.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely tell when you're in the wake of somebody else with these trucks. Now, the one thing that is tough as the leader, especially on the bottom lane, is when you get pinned down in that to that red line, getting into that corner, you have to turn the wheel a little sharper to make the corner to keep from sliding up into the truck to the high side, and it does have a tendency to kind of be a little snappy loose. I would imagine that 10, 15 laps into the run, you'll if we were could see the telemetry, you'd see Albert, if he's in the same position, be off throttle a little bit, 3/4 throttle, half throttle, kind of getting in the corner to get it planted.
7 laps in here at Atlanta. Albert Anderson's led them all. Couple of championship contenders up into the top 5 as we speak. Now Tim Pope, one of them, working to the outside. Lead truck in the high side there, but Alan Vaught running back in the 5th position in the number 33. New color scheme for Alan this week. Patriotic Independence Day livery for a lot of the drivers out there tonight. Further on down the line, we'll check on Dustin Eaton here. Again, another championship contender in his familiar number 14. Not too far back in the 21st position, Kyle Vaught with a livery in tribute to Alan Vaught. This being his Alan's last race, in theory, of his iRacing career. Alan going to hang it up in favor of a microphone starting next season. Want to make note here, Lori, pointing this out here in the chat as well. There are 2 different style championships at stake here tonight. They have a contender chase championship. That would be Osborne, McAdam, Albert, Kelly, and Stoney, all eligible for that. We will speak to the winner of that title as well as the drivers championship post-race, as well as the winner of the race. Laps complete. Pretty clean racing so far. A couple of drivers just kind of swapping positions, whether it's the top lane, the bottom lane, moving forward, moving back. But right now we do have a bigger mover right here, and believe it or not, it's further back in the pack. It's actually Trevor Robertson. He runs in the 16th spot, but he's passed 7 trucks to this point in this race. Quietly working his way forward, but go a little further back here. Greg Klein, that number 92, he's up 9 positions in 18th. One truck scraping the wall just a moment ago. I think that might have been the 085 of Greg Dobson. Dobson now to the outside of Wittenberg. Anderson continues to lead as Tim Pope got to the outside down through turns 1 and 2, but wasn't able to continue that momentum around. This is a lot of what we saw last night. What is it about that outside lane, Chris? You can kind of build a run and get there, but you just can't get clear.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously, you don't have as many trucks that are willing to kind of group up there. They want to, most drivers want to be kind of around that bottom. But the wider radius around the corner and you just cannot quite get that run. The straightaway isn't long enough to get that run off the corner like you're used to seeing it, like your Daytonas and Talladegas. I mean, by the time you're really getting to that side door of the car, beside you, you're getting ready to get into the corner, and the car on the bottom certainly has the advantage getting into that corner. with it being a smaller track, you just have to manage your runs a little bit better. I think the truck second in line is more vital to that truck that's first in line when it comes to that run, being able to time it perfectly, kind of like you saw with Kelly right there. He kind of timed it perfectly to get to Tim's back bumper coming out of the corner. So just getting that run there, but it is really, like you said, really difficult to pass up top.
Difficult to pass up top until you get deeper into the run. These trucks get a little loose on the bottom side of the racetrack as they start to wear those tires out. We get a long green flag run here. I think Albert Anderson might have some struggles, and it looks like it might be coming to fruition now. Anderson having to hold off Pope. Pope almost got clear. Could have pulled it hard down in front of him. Want to make a note again here, the fuel percentage tonight at 65% versus last night it was a full load of fuel at 100%. So tonight's fuel window between 32 and 35 laps. We're just about past halfway in that first fuel run if this thing runs green all the way to it. It's an added factor these drivers are going to need to think about throughout the course of this race is managing that fuel. 4 sets of tires over the wall should be more than enough to not have to worry too much about that. On board with Tim Pope in the second spot. So we look at Albert Anderson and Dylan Bryant to the inside.
One thing I like to point out here, Steve, those that are familiar with the drafting style tracks, you're used to seeing these trucks, pretty tight door to door going down the straightaway. But as you can see with Tim on that high side, he's actually leaving basically a full lane in the middle there. And I think that's helping his run down the straights because he's not trying to side draft because the side draft will slow that car down beside you, but it also kind of prevents your run. It creates that drag on your truck too. So I think with him giving that little bit of gap, he's able to kind of pull up there and even with Albert and even kind of stretch out in front of him a little bit.
Very interesting how the aero plays a part here at Atlanta, given that this place is so much smaller than the legitimate super speedways. And realistically, I don't think it's going to be too long before really iRacing is going to need to make a change in, I guess you could say, the grip model to this racetrack, because in real life, that surface is aging rapidly. We watched it over the weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series. Those cars were not stuck to the racetrack at all. They were very much on top of it, especially in the early going. Things got a little better late, but you had a whole another year of hot sun down here in Atlanta. It's going to get worse, and it should translate over to iRacing at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. This track here in Atlanta, it's notorious for just taking a beating when it comes to the elements and weather and stuff. So that track surface ages, even faster than most tracks I think out there. So, they've just repaved this track, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that, and reconfigured it. And it's already, like you said, showing those signs. So it's aging incredibly quickly. And like you said, I hope we do kind of see an update to that, make it a little bit more entertaining to drive. These trucks are fun because they're loose and kind of wild, basically. The other cars are pretty tame on these for the most part.
Atlanta Motor Speedway, now EchoPark Speedway. Their repave project was 21 to 22, was finished in the spring of 22. So only 3 years, but a lot of the drivers that have been asked about the surface itself. He says it doesn't seem like it's only 2 or 3 years. It's acting a lot more like 5 to 10 years in the way that the grip has just gone away. Anderson and Pope still side by side for the top spot. Row 2 looks about the same as well. Really, the top 4 completely unchanged. And then you've got Bittner in the 5th spot. He's up 7 positions. Alan Vaught running right where he started. Still Trevor Robertson back in the 11th position, still working his way forward. Now he's up 13 spots if he can get clear of Ricky Wittenberg. On board with Albert Anderson, looking back at this field. And Albert definitely quick there from the middle on off. $30 laps in, so we're getting awfully close here to our first round of green flag stops. Again, that fuel window, 32 to 35 laps. Lori Vaught had a pretty considerable talking to all these drivers prior to the race here tonight. No funny business, no wrecking each other, no scores to settle. Just get out here and race. Don't ruin this last race of the season. Seems that message was delivered. Everybody driving somewhat cautiously, at least being fair to one another out there tonight.
And there's really no reason to really push it this early on. I mean, you've got at least three pit stops with that you're gonna have to navigate through. So, I mean, just riding around for the first 80, 90 laps, I think you'll see a lot of that. You'll see people jockeying for position and stuff, but those last 30 laps is where you see intensity pickup. So, the hole that I mentioned that Tim's leaving there in the middle, just expect for that to be filled closer to the end of the race there.
Gotta wonder if some of these guys to the outside here are trying to start thinking about how they can get single file, so they got an opening to get to pit lane. We're really pushing now the edge of that fuel window. And Ricky Wittenberg in trouble. Straightens it out. No caution. We stay green. Now you see it, that outside lane. They're really scrambling to try and get down.
And you mentioned it earlier, Steve, that lead truck. Obviously he's using the most fuel because he's almost flat out around here most of the time. So Tim was definitely going to be needing to get there to that bottom. You saw him squeeze in between Allen and Mike Everidge there, kind of squeeze squeeze him in there to make sure he had room to kind of get in. Looks like maybe head this way.
And here we go from the backstretch here. They're going to enter pit lane here early. Oh, Alan Vaught gets turned on pit entry. He gathers it back up, but he's going to lose a ton of track position in this exchange of green flag stops. Four tires and fuel for Alan Vaught, but he's going to lose a ton of time here. Again, lost it coming into the pits here. I think he may have had some help. We'll see if we can get a replay of this in just a moment. Here they are coming to pit lane. Vaught and Tim Pope, two of the championship contenders, making contact. I think Allen was trying to get out of the way there as the hole was closing in front of him, and he was trying to get up there, but Pope was there. Doesn't look like Allen will have too much damage out of this by any means, but track position lost. He'll need a caution to get caught back up. Meanwhile, Dustin Eaton and some more drivers in. John Osborne, Greg Dobson, Anthony Williams, Jack Dixon, Deion Jones. Good enough. Gaines, Rincon. Meanwhile, Ricky Wittenberg, after his spin, shown as the race leader here, but he hasn't pit yet, so he still managed to gain that track position back by staying out. He's going to lose a bunch of it here as he pits. So through that exchange, Albert Anderson will cycle back to the race lead with Dylan Bryant all over the tailgate of the 99. Then it's Bittner, Burke, Benfield, Adamson, Osborne, Eaton, and Kyle Vaught now into the top 10 for the first time tonight. Back out front for truck draft. Anderson, Bryant, Dickerson, and Bittner are the top four, all grouped up together. Dickerson changes lanes here. I don't know if he just doesn't want to be in the meat of the sandwich. He's going to let Bittner go on by, occupy the third spot, and just like that, Dickerson comes down to tuck in behind the 84 to sniff that draft. What do you think, Chris? Is that kind of what he was thinking there? He didn't want to be a case where he got caught pushing the pusher or being the one pushing while getting pushed?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case there. It looks like he's content to just kind of ride and not be a part of that. Just hold on to it and maintain that draft. Because as you know, with this track, you notice that the field spreads out quite a bit after the pit stops. So, I mean, you've got the top four that are second and a half ahead of fifth through, looks like fifth through 10th or so. And, but he just wanted to ride and maintain that position, not cause any issues, and just kind of be there at the end.
A little more cloud cover blanketing the racetrack here, 43 laps in. We'll take a peek at the weather again. Track temp still about where we started. It was 92, now it's 91.
the one positive out of everything here, Steve, is we saw Alan have his troubles getting into pits, but he didn't actually lose the draft per se. He's still got a group of cars that right there with him to help keep him on the lead lap. So he's not out there running by himself, getting run down by the leaders. So if he's just one quick caution away from kind of getting it back up there and being back in contention for this for sure.
It's one thing a lot of these drivers have learned over the seasons is to never count out the driver that number 33. No matter how bad it gets, in most cases, he's still going to be a factor. Does make you think back, though, to Interlagos. Had that one in the bag. Then a lap truck getting into him, turning him around, and that win going to the 14 to Dustin Eaton instead.
There will be a caution.
And caution is out. Not sure what we have going on here. Yellow is out nonetheless. Was it Craig Goodenough? Yes, it was. Facing the wrong way. This may have been trying to come to pit lane. Some damage on the 89 as well. So this is just what Alan Vaught needed. Trying to get caught up to the field. This will bunch everybody back up. And what do you think, Chris? If you're Alan Vaught, do you say, heck with it, we got plenty of tires, come down and put on a set?
Yeah, you may as well, unless everybody else does, and you want to pick up that track position that you lost. I'd say you probably do the opposite of what the leaders do right here, if I'm guessing.
Let's see what happened here with Craig Goodenough to put us under caution for the first time tonight. Ooh, chain reaction, bumper cars. Oh, and Kyle Vaught getting involved in this as well. He'll have some nose damage, nowhere near as much as the 89. And it looks like the majority of the leaders are going to come down and pit. So Alan Vaught will join them, actually. Dustin Eaton, John McAdams stay out. Just a top off for fuel for Albert Anderson. Tim Pope still in the pit box. And 7.6 seconds for Pope, also fuel only. Alan Vaught, same story, fuel only. A couple of drivers going for tires again. Larry Dickerson, one of them. Really, that's the only one of them. So watch out for the 69 here. He'll be fast. Or at least have some maneuverability to make the moves that he wants to make out here in the draft. So I know we're just about getting to that halfway point, Chris, but let's pick your brain a little bit here once again, as we've done so much throughout the last half of this season. If you're coming into this race knowing that the championship is on the line and you're a contender for it, how do you approach this race? Do you come at it super cautious, or you just kind of go for maximum points, try to get that thing out in front and try to lead every lap?
That's tough. I think it depends on where you are with that. I think you saw last week that really the only playoff contender that had a decent finish, I believe, was Tim Pope. And so with him, I think you're maybe a little bit more cautious on it. You want to be up front because there's not a huge point gap, but you may not stick your nose in there 3 wide to gain that extra spot or two. Whereas, the other 3 guys that you probably see them throw a little bit more caution to the wind here to try and gain a couple extra spots that may make the difference there at the end. So I think it just depends on where you are. While the rest of these guys are are throwing it in there. They're trophy hunting basically, with the exception obviously of the contender chase that with Osborne, McAdam, and Albert and Kelly and Stoney there. So, but we'll see. I think you'll see some. They'll throw caution to the wind here with about, I don't know, 20 to go. I think everybody will.
With all that said, you mentioned trophy hunting. These guys out here that don't have a chance at a championship, but they can certainly pick up a race win. It's almost got to be kind of like class racing, because you've got drivers out there that all they care about is that race win. So they're going to be as aggressive as they need to be versus those guys that really need to tiptoe out there with no fast repairs, and a wreck would likely end their night. And Bittner doing a decent job staying out in front. Anderson out of the outside of Jeremiah Burke. Really an opportunity for Anderson to get some laps in on the high side to see if he can do anything from there. Right now, he's kind of stalled out.
It's kind of interesting here, Steve, on this restart as opposed to the initial start of the race. You see they've gotten spread out quite a bit. So I don't know if something happened on the restart or whatnot, but there's almost two separate packs as of right now.
Well, you did have some guys go out there with fuel only, quite a bit actually, so there's that chance that somebody spun the tires, kind of stacked the field up as the 47's in the fence. John McAdam pancaking the right side in the wall. A little bit of rear end damage already on that machine as well. He's lost the pack, may be coming to pit lane. Meanwhile, back out front, the battle for the race lead is on. Anderson now working the outside, going to try and get the job done up top on Dustin Eaton. He had a nose out in front for just a moment. Saw plenty of that with Pope and Anderson early on, with Anderson on the bottom, but now the role's a little bit reversed. The 99 in the top lane and Eaton down low. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Chris, is that guys hunting for trophies, i.e. Albert Anderson, and those hunting for a championship, Dustin Eaton in that Ford team. Guys with two different mindsets completely right now, but is it necessarily a different mindset once you get behind the wheel of these things and you get after it in race conditions? Is it just kind of race like you normally do?
Well, it's one of those things where you don't want to break your normal routine if you do have a routine for these things, because sometimes that'll throw you off worse. But I think there may be a different mindset for Albert more so than Dustin. I know Dustin's trying to get out here and he's got the guys he needs to beat and wants to make sure he's doing that. But Albert on the flip side of that doesn't want to be the reason that somebody doesn't have a chance at the championship, right? So he doesn't want to put himself in a position to cause that to happen, and so I think you may see a little bit more. I don't want to say he won't be any more timid. Let's be honest, it's Albert, but he may be a little bit more cautious as to the gap that he gives or the space that he gives to that car around him if they're running for the championship.
Same token, I don't think Albert's going to mind being the reason someone loses a championship if that means that he won the race. Now, if he accidentally wrecks one of the guys, that's a different story. But I don't see Albert lifting off the throttle to forego a win if it means somebody else doesn't get a championship.
No, absolutely. And as I wouldn't expect any of these guys to. You just don't want to be the reason that one of them ends up flying through the air, upside down, or in the fence.
100%. Through that, though, Anderson takes the top spot away from Dustin Eaton. I got to wonder if that just was a matter of combination of Anderson having the run and Dustin Eaton not quite having the grip that he wants by comparison. Again, he can still hang up there in the top 5 with these guys. His tires are older than everybody else, but not by a ton. We're talking 9-10 laps at best. Anderson certainly showing his strength. Back out in front, and he did it from the high side. First time we've really seen that happen here tonight.
And you can definitely tell, new tires versus old tires, because as the tires start to wear, you see a lot less, pushing. You don't see as many people blocking bumpers or anything like that, because they just don't have the grip to be able to maneuver and get up to that car in front. You're sliding around, you don't want to be up close to them, so you're seeing very little bump drafting. I mean, maybe on the straightaway, Osborne, you can kind of get to the back of Albert, but for everybody else, you don't really see anybody doing that. So I think that is a product of these older tires so far.
And Chris, you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, how this is like super speedway racing, but given that this track is a mile shorter in length than Daytona and a little bit shorter even more still than Talladega, it's not just hold it wide open and go. These guys are lifting, they're checking up, they're really having to wheel these trucks because the handling just is not there. As we said, with this track aging, the grip has really gone away. They're fighting these trucks. And Lori, and I didn't see it myself. Usually I'll catch some of the practice races on Monday if I have the time. But Lori mentioned that the Monday night race did not go very well. We saw a lot of the same last night in the Num Thumbs Racing League. The first half of that was a wreck fest. It really was not a good race for the first half. Cleaned up nicely at the end. But these guys are really putting on a good show. We're just about halfway here. Only one caution to speak of so far. And they're still getting some racing done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having those races on Monday and seeing that byproduct, I think I've run with these guys on Mondays. I think you see a lot of them, as you see, who's that, Burke dropping down there into the pit?
Jeremiah Burke coming to pit lane.
But that's not good. I think once you get above that white line, I think that's a pit entry penalty, if I'm not mistaken, getting above that line there.
About to find out. Locks him up too. So the nice thing is with some of these guys made their pit stops around lap 47. Some of them was lap 37 in that general vicinity. That will make pit road a little less busy when it comes to green flag pit stops. Not everybody's going to come down all at the same time, so a little bit of breathing room for some of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like he was maybe serving some sort of penalty from previous. I'm not sure what that would have been from, but if he comes back down, we'll see if he gets another penalty for that pit entry. We'll see if he makes another round through it here this lap.
Meanwhile, Jack Dixon trying to work to the outside, take the race lead from Albert Anderson. Anderson wanted to be back on the bottom. He was so strong there early on, so why not go back to what you know, especially considering that it won't be too long before we get into some more green flag stops. That said, Lori, if you're listening, let us know about Jeremiah Burke, if there was any kind of penalty that he was trying to serve or had to serve with that drive-through he just had in pit lane, as he is back in the pits this time. I'm not sure if that was an iRacing imposed penalty or a general admin penalty.
And this one may be a stop and hold penalty for that pit entry. Oh, drive-through.
Drive-through after drive-through. Very interesting. Hopefully Lori can help us out there. Anderson still maintaining the race lead. John Osborne right to the tailgate of the 99. Just past halfway here from EchoPark Speedway. We're going to stick with this for a little bit, knowing we got some green flag stops about to unfold. We'll get to our side-by-side break after that completes. John McAdam at the bottom of the racetrack. Real high up in the groove here. Gonna get separated. Jack Dixon's gonna be in the wall. Dixon straightens it out. In fact, the wall straightens him out, and I think we're gonna get through this. Somehow, some way, we got it done. Anderson now with a big lead over John Osborne. Big by comparison. I guess relatively it's not that much of a lead, but at this place it is. Won't take long to reel him back in with that draft as Osborne's half a truck off the back bumper already. Lori Vaught in the chat. It was a penalty from 3 weeks ago. He's missed races and had to serve it tonight. Well, that makes sense. It's probably why we didn't know about it, but Lori's on top of it over there, making sure that those penalties get served, whether it's the next week or 3 weeks or whatever it may be. We're in season 11. I even saw her talk about penalizing somebody in season 13. We're not even into the next season yet.
Yeah, I'd hate to be that guy that has to carry over a penalty for an entire season.
No, she was more worried about in case somebody might be taking a season off, a gap season. They decide that they want to get angry at somebody here tonight. It's going to carry over to whenever they come back. Lori should get a job at NASCAR, honestly.
Yes. They need her in the Cars tour, I think.
There you go. Dustin Eaton still holding tight there in the third position, but Dustin's going to need to make a pit stop here relatively soon. It was lap 37 the last time he came down. Next lap or so, we should see the 14 pull on down to pit lane. Update on our championship contenders further down the line. Of course, Eaton and Pope 4th and 5th. Alan Vaught back in 11th. Kyle Vaught back in 19th. .73 laps in the books here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a clean race to this point. I'm sure all hell is going to break loose at some point or another. Meanwhile, Dylan Bryant pokes his nose ahead of Albert Anderson down the back straightaway, but how long will it last? Only with Tim Pope to the back bumper. And you're right, Chris. These guys really started to separate out a bit and haven't been able to regain it back. It hasn't really bunched back up.
Yeah, that incident there with the trying to get past the lap car and Dixon going wall really spread them back out too. But you can see with Tim and Dylan there on the outside, they can actually bunch up and push. That high side is kind of where you want to be with these older tires because you don't have to turn the wheel as much. You're not giving as much input. So you can actually gain that run on the high side later in the run. It's tough to do anything at the beginning, but there towards the end of the run, that's kind of where you like to be. That's where I was running the majority of the race on once we got stretched out with some older tires. I was on the outside. So it's a much more comfortable position to be in up there. But yeah, with these guys, they're getting stretched out. I mean, it doesn't look like much. All the way back to 19th is about 2.5 seconds, but that's a lot of racetrack time with these cars.
And I got to say, I don't know if Dustin Eaton has found some kind of magic trick here, but he has managed to save some serious fuel. He's on lap 38 of this fuel run. There he goes. He's going to come down and pit now.
I was going to say, just as you said that, there he comes. Now, the problem that I think he's going to run into, I don't know, I didn't see behind him. He may be coming down all by himself, which is not ideal for a track like this.
Well, there's other drivers down there. Everidge, Robertson, DW, they're all in the pit lane here, but they came a lap sooner. He may blend up in traffic, but albeit a lap down. I don't think he'll be hurt too bad because in another 10 laps, the rest of the field's going to pit anyway, so it's going to cycle back around. He may lose some track position, but it won't be terrible. 4-tire change for the 14. Decent stop, 14.9 for Dustin Eaton. So Eaton out there all by his lonesome. We'll see how long that lasts. Meanwhile, Dylan Bryant has taken the race lead from Albert Anderson and has gotten clear. Drops down to the low side. Now Tim Pope, the lead truck on the top lane.
Now you see right here, Steve, they're catching some more lap traffic. This place is, I mean, we've talked about it being unique, you know, multiple different ways, but this place is even crazier because with the handling issues that you do have later in the run, navigating some of this lap traffic, because there's not a ton of room. So you'll see, you know, cars staying low. You've got to navigate through the two high sides. Trucks staying high like you just saw there. It gets tight real quick, and you see trucks bouncing off the door, which is exactly what we saw happen to Dixon, trying to get around that lap traffic. That lower line came up and kind of clipped him and put him in the wall. So this is a really unique situation, especially if you're going to be navigating some lap traffic.
Again, checking on drivers further down the line here. Kyle Vaught back in the 17th position. Championship contention. Dustin Eaton now the first truck, I believe, one lap down. Alan Vaught in 11. It just shows that even though you're fast, it's difficult to pass your way through this field. It's just, you got to make runs when you get the opportunity, but it doesn't always pay off. And Alan having some struggles here, trying to work his way back through. Also has to tiptoe his way around. He doesn't want to cause a problem for himself. And some pit stops. Kelly Cool, Alan Vaught, and I think maybe Greg Klein. Oh, Kelly Cool up above that white line, Chris.
Yeah.
I think Allen was able to get around Kelly during that exchange because of that little misstep.
We'll look and see if Kelly gets held that extra time after because I imagine he's taking 4 tires here, so we'll see if he gets held for longer for going above that line there.
Nope, heads back on out. Allen still gets the pit stop done faster, though. So now that'll give the lead to Jason Gaines. Ricky Wittenberg second, Deion Jones third, Adamson fourth, Tim Pope in fifth. Albert Anderson will come down to pit along with just about everybody, and Anderson in the grass. Misses the commitment cone. That might be a penalty. We'll see what happens there to the 99. And Anderson will be held. Commitment cone violation for the 99. Tough break. That's going to be painful. He's going to need some luck to fall his way now. Meanwhile, Ricky Wittenberg back out on the racetrack. Looks like he is coming to pit lane. Yes, he is. from the race lead. Jason Gaines will join him, so will Deion Jones. That puts the top 3 on the lead lap. I hope we don't get a caution now. That would be a disaster. And there they go. Timing tower went from a lap down to gaps right away. So Ricky's still the race leader, though. He might be able to get back out there with some okay track position. We'll see how long this takes. Drops the jack. He's going to head on down pit lane. Leader's back into the dog leg. Wittenberg got out of the pits before losing the lead, but there he goes on the bottom of the racetrack. I gotta say, Chris, not a bad strategy, but look who's back out in front. Speaking of strategy, an effective pit work this time for the 33 of Alan Vaught. Back out front. Dustin Eaton, championship contender, in 3rd. Pope is 9th. Kyle Vaught, 10th. So all 4 of our championship 4 in the top 10.
Yeah, seeing those guys leapfrog as much as they did, it was really impressive watching them kind of get in and out. I think part of that is also a byproduct of there was only 3 of them that came in, so they didn't have to fight for positions or things like that. So, the other guys are checking up, slowing down, avoiding other cars. They were able to get in here and do their service and get back out and line back up. So good on them for getting up there, and it's cool to see everybody now in the top 7 that's running for this championship.
Another thing that's going to be dangerous for the rest of this field is Kelly Kuhl on the back bumper of Alan Vaught. Those two are like shake and bake out there. Well, 90 laps go up on the board. We're finally going to get to our track limit side by side. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude.
Back at EchoPark Speedway, lap 97 as this one is in its final third. Alan Vaught through some mishaps, still out in front here, leading Bittner, Kuhl, Bryant, and Osborne. Still one more pit stop to go before we can call this one a night. Most of the field will get into that window here in the next handful of laps. Question is, Chris, when do you decide to come on down and make that final stop? Do you kind of give it a few laps once you're within the window to buy yourself some extra gas for that green-white checker that might happen? Or do you wait until you really have to and that tank runs dry?
I think it kind of depends on the tire situation. I don't know what their situation is. I'm sure they probably have more than one set left. Oh, it's getting tight right here. It always makes me nervous when they catch that lap traffic so quickly.
No, he's in the fence.
Yeah, that's what we went talking about earlier. It just gets so tight. Somebody's getting bumped. Oh, there they go.
Jason Gaines, Ricky Wittenberg. And they straighten it out still. We stay green. Oh, now he clips DW.
Oh.
Straightens it out again. That was average. And we're still green. But how?
There's a lot of still green flag racing, but a lot of red faces and tempers going on right now, I'm
goodness. Sure. Battle back out front. Now we've really got some separation. Top 10 still all together, but some single file and some lonesome drivers there in behind. "33 laps to go here from EchoPark Speedway.
But, going back to what you were talking about, or what you asked earlier, Steve, about the pit window, it depends, like I said, it depends on the tire situation. I think if you got more than one set of tires, I'm thinking as soon as the pit window opens, even as the lead car, where you can make it to the end, I think you come in and do it, maybe separate yourself from the pack, but you got to have a buddy to come in with you. But then that'll give you some room out there. And then that way you still have a set there if caution does come out or something like that. If you've only got one set left, then I think you may, stretch this one maybe as far as it'll go.
Bittner trying to get a bump from Dylan Bryant to get him out ahead of Alan Vaught, but just not enough to quite get clear. Oh, some connection issues for Bryant. Got to be careful there, especially on this place. Oh, there we go. Trouble. Oh, they straighten it out again, but still, Larry Dickerson now bottom of the racetrack. He's trying to drift it up. Oh, hard impact. Dickerson out. Still no caution. So now there's four.
The wildest series of events that not bring out a caution that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's been 3 or 4 really that should have been a yellow, but again, iRacing algorithm kind of making that decision for us. Some tracks are better than others. This is not one of those tracks. So now in this situation, it's going to be very difficult for really anybody to make the move here on Alan Vaught because he's got Kelly Kuhl in tow here, and I don't think Kelly's going to work against Alan here unless it's the last lap and he's got a chance to win the race. I think he's going to push the 33 for the balance of this thing. Now, another question I had for you, Chris, was engine temperature an issue last night? Because it seems like, and even last night, that guys were trying to pull out a line there to get some fresh air onto the radiator. Were they getting hot?
I noticed it once or twice when I was second in line pushing, but I was pushing pretty hard towards the end of the race. So I didn't notice it at all throughout the middle of the race, beginning or middle. But from with what Kelly's doing right here, I think seeing him tuck out, I think he's probably trying to get some air on it because it will tend to overheat just a little bit. Not as bad as it would like Daytona or Talladega, but I did notice it once or twice pushing really hard there at the end.
So what Kelly's got to be conscious of here is when he sticks the nose out alongside Allen, if he gets too far out and gets alongside and then tries to tuck back in, he's got to be careful not to hook the 33.
Yeah, here, just like anywhere, you definitely want to, if you're going to push, you definitely need to do it square. You don't want to push him, on that quarter, kind of about where he's at right now. I know you see him check up for it, but you don't want to push on that corner because it will loosen the balance of that truck up pretty bad. And with these older tires, it will exacerbate that and send them around pretty easily.
Almost looked like you and Double O Joe last night through the dog leg there.
Yeah, it was perfect storm of catching him, switching lanes, he catching him too fast and pushed him right at the spot where it kinks to the left there through the quad oval. It was just a perfect storm. I hit him completely square, and it just catches him wrong, and it caused a big problem there for a lot of people.
24 laps to go here from EchoPark Speedway. Alan Vaught leads Kelly Kuhl, Josh Bittner, Tim Pope, Mike Adamson. Further down the line here, championship contenders like we talked about. Alan Vaught leads, Pope is fourth. Kyle Vaught, that is in ninth, and Dustin Eaton is still a lap down in 19th, and he's the fourth truck one lap down, so he's not in a good way here to try and pick up a championship. Things need to change considerably for him to have a shot tonight. I don't want to count him out just yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see him get his lap back once everybody comes into pit, but I'm wondering if he is going to have to pit one more time as well, based on when he pit, previously. So we'll see if he can get back around onto the lead lap and where he cycles out.
Dustin Eaton is done pitting. His last stop, lap 106, so he is good to go to the end.
Got it. Okay. So, yeah, I think once he cycles out, he's got some drafting help there. Once these other guys pit, I think he'll cycle back up front. Not up front, but cycle back to the lead lap and find out where he falls within this pack.
And Elder Albert Anderson in the chat saying still no caution, and Lori threw a description in there, an explanation is that iRacing throws cautions and they have to be multiple on-track drivers. To an extent, yes, but it's more about multiple on-track drivers, whether or not they're involved. If one truck spins and there's others coming behind, there's a calculation that gets made by iRacing based on the closing rate of the spinning between the spinning car and the approaching traffic. If it's considerably different, then usually the caution will come out. Now, if those cars quickly, or trucks in this case, get spun down below the racing surface, typically iRacing will not throw that yellow. Pit stop's underway. Alan Vaught from the race lead. Final stop of the season for the 33. Kelly Kuhl in tow. Greg Klein as well. Right sides only for Alan Vaught. He heads back out in action ahead of the 01 of Kelly Cool yet again. 18 laps to go. Final stop in the books for Alan Vaught. More drivers headed down. Bittner, Adamson, and the like. Osborne in the pits also. Dylan Bryant, Kyle Vaught, Tim Pope. Dylan Bryant still battling connection issues. See that 51 continues to blink. And once again, out in front in this pit cycle, the 55 of Ricky Wittenberg to the race lead. He's been able to jump up and cycle to the lead prior to his pit stops just about every green flag stop tonight. So Alan Vaught shown in P6, and you see he's just about a truck length and a half ahead of the race leader right now.
I'll be honest, Steve, I didn't see a two-tire stop coming. I mean, I don't know why I didn't necessarily see it coming, but I just didn't see it. And we'll see where that cycles them out, because they saved a ton of time on pit road by doing that. So I'm wondering how far ahead that'll put them once everything cycles through.
Yeah, and obviously Alan and Kelly Cool discussed that prior because they both had the same strat. Dobson scrapes the wall out of 2. So as it stands right now, the top 5 on the lead lap, that's it. Kelly Cool wiggles a bit, though. Wittenberg is going to look to the inside. Cool trying to close the door. Wittenberg all 4 underneath the red line here in the dogleg. That's a no-no. Looks like Dixon's going to come to pit lane as well. So Ricky's last stop was lap 86. These guys have definitely been able to stretch the fuel a lot longer than that anticipated fuel window. To go. Wittenberg still leads, but will need to pit, and here he comes.
I'll give it to him, though. That strategy, if something had happened there and that caution come out, there was only 5 cars or trucks on the lead lap. So worst he was going to come out of that whole thing was going to be 5th. So
yeah,
that was a good move on his part to try and stretch it.
And in that situation, too, there was a lot of guys that would have been trapped. He could have pit under that caution, bolted on 4 tires, and still would not have lost more than a handful of spots. He'd be well within the top 10, maybe even the top 5 at the time.
Yep, absolutely.
Didn't happen, but either way, it was a good gamble.
Worth the shot for the trophy hunting there on the last race of the season.
So 11 to go. Alan Vaught inherits the race lead yet again. Kelly Cool still closely tucked to the tailgate of the 33.
So after everything was said and done, Eaton's right up there in 6th. So he's back up in there, and all 4 of the championship guys are in the top 7.
So Eaton's last stop was 106, so it's about 9 lap older tires for the 14. If anybody can wheel it on older tires, it's going to be him. But we saw earlier on after that second round of pit stops, really wasn't able to hang with those guys as Osborne is now taking the race lead, and Pope goes around Alan Vaught, still not quite clear. We got a big battle on our hands with some championship contenders, 3 of the 4 all together here with Alan Vaught side by side with Pope, Dustin Eaton to the outside of Kelly Cool.
And don't look too far back there, Steve. Less than a second behind. You got Kyle Vaught, the 4th one coming up, and he's wanting to join this crew and make it a four-way trip to the hauler after the fray.
Whoa, big trouble here at the front of the field, and they all hang on to it. Osborne and Pope, 30 degrees sideways into the dog leg. I was just thinking, man, another caution would be great. Let's get all 4 of these guys up here battling, but you don't want to see them wreck.
I wonder if Allen and Kelly are starting to struggle with that the 2-tire stop there. So you've seen them kind of lose a little bit of space. I mean, I know they were trying to save it a little bit. So, but I wonder if they're starting to struggle with that too.
Seven to go, and the 7 out in front. Tim Pope leads for now as Eaton double the number, double the fun to the outside. I gotta say, I really kind of like this strategy for Dustin Eaton. Even if it doesn't pay off, it looks like he's gonna have a solid finish as long as we don't wad him up here in the last handful of laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you didn't necessarily see it coming with him being, the 4th car 1 lap down just, 10, 12 laps ago. But seeing him up here fighting, I mean, he's 2nd as far as the championship driver is concerned, and he's still well within it for sure.
Lap traffic coming into play here. Pope with the lead. Goes around Gaines, reels in Anthony Williams, changes lanes. Osborne's going to tuck up behind the 5, now switches up behind Pope. Williams almost playing a block here. He had plenty of room to the left. He could make more room for these lead lap trucks. Oh, and he slides up, almost gets into Adamson. That was close. Pope leads, Eaton now 4th, battling with Alan Vaught for 5th. Kyle Vaught, P7. He's alongside Greg Klein. Oh, Adamson way down the bottom of the racetrack, slips up just a bit. He hangs onto it. Kyle Vaught now into P5, first top 5 for the 16. Osborne's going to go around off the nose of Dustin Eaton, now the 81 out in front with less than 3 laps to go. Three miles remain, 2 laps to go from EchoPark Speedway. Who is going to win it? Who is going to lock up this championship? Right now, it's Pope, the highest running championship contender. He doesn't just want the title, he wants this race win. He's all over the back bumper of Jonathan Osborne, all the way down the backstretch into turn 3. Gets him a little loose, gets himself loose in the meantime, and he's still pushing the 81 through 3 and 4. Good Lord. Pope had to go to the outside here, didn't want to run over the 81 anymore, and he already had, and Adamson gets into the back of Osborne. He slips up the track, avoids the 7, now Eaton all over the back bumper. This is the final lap here from EchoPark Speedway. Down the back straightaway for the final time. It's Pope, Eaton, the top 2 as they reel into 3. Kyle Vaught has crashed. Osborne and Robertson has also crashed. Coming to the stripe, checkered flag in the air, and Tim Pope is going to win it just by a nose over Dustin Eaton. Tim Pope takes the checkered flag here in Atlanta by 0.07 of a second over Dustin Eaton. Kyle Vaught crashing on the final lap. Looks like he'll actually come home in the 10th spot nonetheless. Alan Vaught will finish 4th. Wow. Job well done, VRL. Job well done.
Yeah, what an ending. I was nervous and I wasn't even in a truck.
I don't know Pope to be much of a donut guy, but we'll see. He's parked it here on the start finish. We'll give him a minute here. We'll see if he lights him up. I know Eaton didn't waste any time. Definitely going to be close here at the end of this to figure out who is where championship-wise. Lori and Alan will have to dig into that. We're going to talk to Ellen first when we come back here. He should be able to tell us who the driving champion is. So that's going to do it for Pope here. We're going to step aside here. We'll get a break out of the way. We'll be back with some interviews after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Back at EchoPark Speedway, the championship has been decided in thrilling fashion. Though Alan Vaught finishes in the 4th spot in the race, he finishes top honors in the season standings. We'll pull the driver, the number 33, Alan Vaught, into the broadcast booth, closing the season and likely an iRacing career out with a title. Alan, it's Steve and Chris in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
Alan, congratulations, man. Job well done. A strong race all night long. Worked the strategy, worked the draft. A 4th place finish was enough to get it done, man. Walk us through your race and what was going through your mind there in the closing laps. It got a little chaotic.
Yeah, man, I really struggled with my strategy coming into this race tonight, only having a 14-point gap on Tim Pope. You know, and it's at a track like this, that's not a lot of a gap. And had a little struggle last week at Pocono that put me a little bit further behind. So I actually contemplated starting at the rear of the field, but I said, you know, my luck, it'll just go green the whole time, and then I won't have a chance to race for the championship. And honestly, it did. This was a much better and cleaner race than I honestly expected. But I was racing kind of defensively. I don't know if you saw me get spun out on pit road that one time. So I was carrying damage on my right rear the whole race, and I was so loose. And I was having to really work with my teammate, and I want to shout him out big time, Kelly Kill. That dude, thank you. He got me the championship because he worked with me that whole bit since I got damaged and made sure he stayed off me just enough where I could hang on to that truck.
Well, it was certainly a job well done. I don't know how close it was. I imagine it was very close, but we noticed the same thing.
7 points.
How many?
7 points.
7 points, the margin of the championship here tonight. So an awesome season. 18 races comes down to this. It was a fun one for sure. I really don't know what much else to say, man. This closing laps here was incredible to watch. The season was great. A job well done by you. You move out of the cockpit and into the booth going into next season. How do you feel about getting into the booth and getting out of these race trucks?
I don't know, Steve, honestly, you could probably tell me better. But before I go past that, I just want to say thank you so much for highlighting this league as professionally as you have done. I don't think right now I'm at your level, but I'm hoping to get there and represent the league as well as you have. But I want to thank you so much. And I'm just stepping away, kind of retiring from full-time racing with these guys. I'd like to try this new aspect of iRacing, the broadcast booth. So that starts next season.
Well, Alan, I'll say this much. I wish you the best of luck, certainly. I'll say this as well. I really miss driving.
That's not helping me, man.
Well, either way, man, I do wish you the best of luck. If I can help you in any way, please let us know. We'll be happy to do what we can for you. And if you decide to get back behind the wheel, we're always an option for you guys. So congratulations, Alan. A job well done, a season well done. What might be an iRacing career well done. And again, I wish you the best of luck in the booth going into next season, man.
Thanks, buddy. Let's gonna do some shout outs before I roll up. Lori, for everything she does for us, this league, my family. So Kyle, he had a good finish tonight. I think I saw him at the end there. And his fiance Taylor up there in Chicago watching us. My son Brandon out in the Navy pulling for us tonight. I think he might have been in the chat. My daughter Sarah and my teammates Kelly Kill. Like I said before, couldn't have done this without him. Greg Klein also really helped out a lot, and Dave Mayer, who's not here tonight, but we're thinking about him. Yeah, man. I can't believe it happened because I fully expected to get wrecked out at this particular track. I'm just not crazy. I'm not crazy about this place.
It's the way it goes sometimes. You guys put on a great show and a great season, man. I appreciate being here. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure, and maybe we'll see you again down the road, man.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you later.
See y'all.
Thanks, Al.
Alan Vaught, your champion here in the Vigilante Racing League. Next, we're going to talk to Jonathan Osborne. He's the driver of that number 81. Again, 2 different championships at stake here this season. It was the Contender Chase Championship. I guess it's like a secondary championship here in the VRL. So we'll pull Jonathan up into the booth, get a word with the driver of the number 81. Jonathan, it's Steve and Chris with Track Limits. You got a copy?
Yes, I got you guys.
Jonathan, congratulations, man. The Contender Chase champion here in the Vigilante Racing League. You finished 12th in the race, but it was enough to take home some hardware, man. Walk us through your race and your season.
Man, this season was rough. I missed a few races due to my controller being broken. I had to get a new one. Missed the playoffs and then come back to finish the season out pretty strong. I think the last 6 or 7 races I was only out of the top 10 twice. It's been a rough season, but the end came to us, and I thought we were going to be looking at a win right here, but our bumpers got locked together, and mine in the 88, and then all insanity let loose there.
Certainly was the case, but still driving home to pick up a championship here at EchoPark Speedway, an all-star win to boot. I would say that this season was, if not your best so far, certainly one to look back on and be proud of.
Oh yeah, for sure. The beginning was terrible, but man, we had some good runs here at the end. A lot of speed. Hopefully we can carry it over to next season, Chicagoland and then Sonoma. Hopefully it can bring back another win at Sonoma.
So season 12 up next, certainly something to look forward to. Can you carry some of this momentum into that next season and continue these winning ways?
I'm sure hoping so. You know what they say, good luck always tends to stay around for a little while, so let's hope that the new season doesn't bring a whole new season of luck.
Well, fair enough. Jonathan, congratulations again. It's been a great season and a championship to boot. Congrats on that. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank you guys because as I hear this, right, it's your guys' last race broadcasting us, right?
Well, never say never, but that's the plan moving into season 12. It looks like Alan and Ricky are going to take over the broadcasting duties, certainly wishing them the best of luck, but you never know. They might want to drive again, so there's always a chance.
Yeah, for sure there. So thank you guys, my sponsor Larry Donahue with Indecisive Chaos Lifestyle brand, and Josh Bittner with Track Dogs Racing, and Lori Jess for putting this insanity on that we get to do here every Wednesday. This is truly what I live for. I don't do nothing all week, just racing and Vigilante. So pretty special to be out here running against these guys that are really should be in real race cars, kicking ass in, real life.
All right, Jonathan. Well, congratulations again. Thanks for talking to us, and certainly good luck in your future seasons.
Alrighty, thank you, man. It was good talking to you guys.
Jonathan Osborne, your contender chase champion here in the Vigilante Racing League. Last but certainly not least, the race winner. We're going to talk to the driver, that number 7. Did all he could to take home the hardware as far as the championship is concerned. Just didn't have enough points to get the job done, but a race win nonetheless. Tim Pope, it's Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Tim, congratulations, man. I know that win is kind of bittersweet. It's great to pick up a checkered flag, but just 7 points shy of that championship. You did all that you could do, all that you had to do, just as a matter of what happened behind you, and it just wasn't quite enough to take that championship home. But walk us through your race. Obviously, you're very calculating out there on the speedway, and when it came down to crunch time, you put the hammer down and really went after it. But what was the strategy coming into tonight?
I told him earlier before we started the race, I said, if I'm going to lose tonight, I'm going to go down fighting. So that's what I did. I did everything I needed to do and just didn't work out like it's supposed to, I guess.
Certainly went down with a fight. Again, another win to add in the column for yourself. It was impressive. And I don't know if this is official or not, or if there even was an official contest as far as paint schemes go. I know I said it a bunch throughout the season, but that Haviland scheme on that number 7 is probably my favorite out there for sure. Grew up an Earnhardt fan, but always had respect for the 28 machine, and I see that little ghosted number there in the bottom of that 7. Very cool paint scheme. I don't know if you painted it yourself or you had somebody do it, but either way, it's been fun to watch that thing out there up front the majority of this season.
Yeah, that's Ricky Wittenberg. What's his graphics? I can't even think of his name now.
D&D, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, D&D Graphics, that's it. He painted it for me. But yeah, that was Davey Allison. That was my favorite driver, and that was my favorite scheme that he ran.
Certainly impressive. A fun one to watch tonight. Wish you the best of luck going into season 12. Maybe you can pick up another one here. Alan Vaudecourt stepping out of the race truck. He'll jump up into the booth next year, so you might be the elder statesman.
I'm going to miss racing them.
All right, Tim. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
You guys for doing awesome broadcasting. I think this is y'all's last one, so thank y'all for that. Yes, and Lord, for putting these races on. Everybody on this ADY team.
All right, Tim. Congratulations again, man. Good luck next season.
Thank you.
Timothy Pope, race winner here tonight. Again, 7 points shy of picking up that championship. His interviews are the same every week. Every time we talk to him, it's the same. He doesn't get excited. He doesn't get mad. He just goes out there and puts his nose to the grindstone and gets it done. He did that here tonight, so job well done by Timothy Pope. With that, let's take a look here at our race results. Hopefully they'll load here tonight. They do. That's a good thing. Tim Pope, of course, your race winner. Dustin Eaton came home in the second spot. Mike Adamson was third. Alan Vaught finishes fourth, wins the championship. Kelly Cool was fifth. Andrew Player was P6. Greg Klein came home in the seventh spot. Eighth was Stoney Benfield. Ricky Wittenberg was ninth. He'll be in the booth with Alan next season as well. Jonathan Osborne, 10th place finish in the race. He picks up the Contender Chase Championship. Kyle Vaught, late race crash. He'll finish 11th, one lap down. George Rincon was 12th. Anthony Williams, 13th. Deion Jones, 14th. Jason Gaines comes home in the 15th spot. Josh Bittner was 16th. Albert Anderson strong early. He finishes in the 17th position. Jack Dixon was 18th. Trevor Robertson, 19th. Greg Dobson, 20th. DW, Derek Welch, finishes 21st. John McAdam, 22nd. Jeremiah Burke, 23rd. Dylan Bryant was 10 laps down in 24th. Larry Dickerson, 25th. Mike Everidge, 26th. Last but not least, from Team Tang, 27th place finisher Craig Goodenough, 87 laps down, out of this one early, unfortunately. Got to thank all of you guys for jumping up in the stream chat all season long. VRL has been a pleasure to cover. And as I've said to Alan and Lori throughout the course of the last few days, I'm happy to come back whenever they're ready. If Alan wants to get back behind the wheel and drop the mic, I'll pick it back up. I'd be happy to do that. If not, wish those guys the best of luck in the booth. Ricky Wittenberg and Alan Vaught picking up the broadcasting duties for season 12. Wish you guys the best of luck again. If you got questions, need some help, I'll do what I can. Let me know. But either way, stream chat people, thanks for watching. Everybody here, thumbs it up if you haven't already done so. Hit that like button, share, like, subscribe. I know we're leaving, that's fine, but help us out. We certainly do appreciate it. And a big, gigantic thanks to you, Chris Goins, for jumping up here in the latter half of this season to do some booth work with us and really helped us out and really added a lot to these broadcasts each and every week. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, Steve. Hey, I appreciate you letting me join you here. I hate that we're not going to be a part of it next season, but I do, like you said, wish Alan and Ricky the best. So I appreciate it. And who knows, maybe I'll be joining you somewhere else next time.
Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Either way, wish VRL the best of luck. We'll be keeping track of these guys as season 12 gets underway here very soon. But that's going to do it for us. Track Limits Network off the air all next week. Nothing Sunday. Of course, nothing on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But starting in August and then a week from Sunday also will be Pro Sim Racing Alliance on Sunday evenings. But I think August 11th, if my memory serves, the IROC Challenger Series coming back featuring guys like, well, TJ Majors, Brian McCann, Zach Millett, and I think Chris Goins yourself. You're going to be in that one as well. That'll be a fun one to watch here on Monday nights, the IROC Challenge Series here on Track Limits Network.
Yes, sir. We'll be in the number 38 car in IROC on Monday nights, so look forward to that in August.
All right, Chris. Well, again, congratulations to Tim Pope, our race winner, Alan Vaught, our driver's champion, and Jonathan Osborne, our Contender Chase champion. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys at the next one.
See you later.
My old man, sad old man, spent his life living off the land. Dirty hands and a clean soul. It breaks his heart seeing foreign cars filled with fuel it isn't ours, and wearing cotton we didn't grow. He's got the red, white, blue flying high on the farm, Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag, and the back it says USA. He won't buy nothing that he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't French at dust. He's just made in America. Semper Fi.